Welcome back, everyone, to the Tapping School Summit. Today, I am here with a fellow Tapping School alumni and dear friend, Michelle, and she's going to talk and teach on tapping for public speaking and your business. And this conversation is so near and dear to my heart because, as you know, like helping women's voices be heard and helping you feel safe expressing is a big part of my work. And I love how you've taken tapping and put it into this niche in helping women get their voices out into the world. So Michelle, I would love for you to start with today. Tell everyone a little bit about your tapping journey. Like, how did you feel when you came across tapping? Where were you
Mm,
at that?
mm. Well, it's interesting because I really believe tapping comes to you at the perfect time when you need it, right? It happened probably over 4 or 5 years ago now, where I was in my corporate job and I knew that I wanted to do life differently. And I just didn't know what that was. I was still in the exploratory stage. I had my third child, who was a surprise miracle. And I just knew that this was not the way for me, the 9 to 5, slugging it out, long hours. So I came across this lady, like I said, don't know how, it was very random. And she took me through a process, which at the time I didn't know, but it was tapping. And after her session, I just felt this phenomenal release of something that was happening. But all of a sudden, things started to shift and change in my outer world. And then I went back to her again. And then I started asking, what is this that you're doing? And she mentioned that it was tapping. And I went, wow, I just can't believe what an instant thing to have, literally at your fingertips, right? And I said, so how do you learn this? And she says, oh, she was a practitioner. And at the time, it, I kind of parked it and didn't do anything with it. And then I was in a community of women in business, and I put a call out there saying, hey, I really want to understand tapping and get into tapping, but I don't want there's a traditional kind of clinical way of tapping. I don't know. I feel called to do something different. And then I was connected to you and your community, and I came on. I think it was a 4 day tapping or an intro to tapping that you did. And I just felt like this was it. This was the process. This is exactly, there was no rhyme or reason to it. Like, I just didn't know. All I knew is I needed to know how to do this and do it deeper for myself. And who knows where it leads to. So it didn't make a lot of sense at the time, but it really does today.
I
So,
love this story. I love that you said that because I say this to people all the time, like tapping finds you and you're ready for it. They're like, I don't even know how it came across my page, or like, what am I doing? I'm tapping on my face. And it's same thing for me. It came into my life when I was ready for it and I really needed it. And I was like,
mm,
I was at a more desperate point of like, I'll take anything to feel better. But I love that, yeah, like you said, you parked it, it came back into your life. And tell us a bit about what you do now, because I love
yeah.
the
So now I help women in business speak on stages so they feel confident to share their message and their truth and their story. And a lot of the times, women in business are afraid to become more visible. They're really afraid to speak up and share what they really want to say, right? They continue to say things like someone tells them, oh, you should say that, or you should articulate it this way, or put it in. So, but they have their own ideas and perspectives, but they're afraid they're going to get rejected, laughed at, ridiculed, and all of that. And I mean, I did NLP before I did tapping, right? And so when I did the tapping, it was just a faster process. It just elevated it even more. And so then I started to integrate and I go, wow, if I can help women from the inside out, and that is working through all those deep seated fears of rejection, ridicule, and really learn to love and accept their unique brilliance. And I found that with tapping, it was fast, it was instant. Yeah, we go deep really quickly. And I call it like we excavate, like literally excavating all the gunk for them to step out on the stage and fully express themselves. So,
my
yeah.
God. I love that you said that because when you say what you really want to say, that's also when you stand out. That's
Mm,
feel you,
Completely.
right? And so I'm curious what you've seen in when working with women who are like, okay, I'm ready to start speaking on stage. What are some of the things that they come up against? Like, okay, they're not saying what they really want to say. Anything else that you notice come up?
Yeah, what I find, there's a pattern. There's been a real pattern that this not speaking up and staying silent really starts at a young age, where a lot of the times, that time where they're saying, look, shh, be quiet, you got to be quiet, you're too loud, or it's been in the playground, the school playground, where your voice wasn't heard, or you were more shy. So a lot of it does stem from early childhood. However, it can also stem from a really defining moment in your life. I remember one client, she just wanted to speak up in her leadership in corporate, right? But she was afraid but we couldn't quite understand what it was. And what it related to was her divorce 14 years ago, right? It was connected to a divorce where she was not being heard in that relationship. And subconsciously, she's held that in her body for 14 years, right? And couldn't quite understand why in some positions I could speak up, but this one I couldn't. And look, there is no right or wrong what that could be. Maybe someone said something there that triggered that same words that maybe her partner said to her 14 years ago. And, our bodies remember things like that. And, it puts a synergy and goes, oh, no, it's safer to be quiet here,
Yeah,
it's
it's
safe
so
to be.
like we're talking advanced EFT right now, right? Like
Yeah,
as
yeah.
that advanced work, the body shows you too. Like, oh, I just when I go to speak, I get this anxiety in my chest, or like my throat gets really tight, and the body will unlock, like you said, a memory, and I'll be like, well, this is why. And I find when people find that, all of a sudden they have compassion and understanding for themselves, and they're like, oh, that's why. No matter how hard I force or try myself, I can't seem to get there.
Yeah, yeah. And then once we do that, then they start seeing, okay, how do I let go of that now? How do I really, because you got to be ready for that too, right? You can find what it is, but then it's, are you ready now to let go? Are you giving your permission to say that that's gone now? And we've learned a lot. What are the lessons, the blessings, and how do we move forward? So it's a process. I
Yeah,
love it. Yeah.
I love it too. And like you said, once you find it, you start to heal it. There is like a bit of a momentum that starts, and you're like, I don't know why, but now like, you might even start attracting speaking opportunities and like these
And she did.
opportunities. Did she?
And she did. This is the thing. The minute we released that, she was asked to speak on a panel, right? And she said, Michelle, I don't think I'm ready yet. And I'm like, that's okay. I'm here, right? I'm here with you, holding your hand along the way. And she did it. She said it was the best feeling ever. And that was it. That was the momentum. We get rid of the gunk that's inside. And the thing is, it's not a do it once and that's it, right? Because we got different levels of visibility, different times that we're leaning on the edge of our speaking and our own self-expression. So things will always come up, like, as you grow and evolve, right?
Oh, this is like the classic example for me of release to receive, right? Like you're wanting to attract these speaking opportunities and start using your voice. It's not just like finding the opportunities, but it's you feeling ready. And that's exactly what you help women do, is not just find the speaking opportunities, but really ready themselves to receive it. So
Yeah.
that's very cool. I know you have some great tips for us. So for women that are ready to start public speaking, what do you recommend? Like, what do you recommend they do to get started? What are your tips for them today?
Well, I mean, you could go in so many different ways, but the first thing that I start off with is preparation and pre-stage rituals. So this is about getting yourself ready for the stage, right? Getting your mind, body, soul ready, right? Now, when I talk about pre-stage rituals, it's like, how do you get your body on board with the stage that you're going to speak on, right? So, for example, this morning I knew I'm coming on this stage to speak, right? So the way I get my ritual is I got up, I went for a walk on the beach, got my feet wet in the beach, took a dip, right? Come out and I come home, have my breakfast, then I do my dance, then I do my tapping, right? I'm getting myself ready and in the energy of speaking, right? And for all of us, that's different. But without a doubt, the pre-stage ritual that I talk about is tapping. Like, it's massive, right? It's a fast one. Even if you're like called to speak on a stage really quickly, like even just the tapping on the side of the fingers can get you ready for it, right? Like, it's perfect, like for things like that. So did you want to say something?
I just love it because when you said that, the energy that you bring to the stage is like you can feel it by you taking care of yourself and creating a ritual for yourself. It's like the presence that you have when you speak is 10 times more powerful. Like it's an energy, not just the words.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's how we want the other person to feel. What do we want them to walk away with? And that kind of goes to my next thing about preparation. It's like starting with the end in mind. So at the end of your talk, what do you want your audience to do? Do you want them to take an action? Do you want them to feel inspired? Do you want them to follow you, right? Like getting really clear on what outcome you want, right? I think so. That's why I say start with the end in mind. And then when you know that, then you can start building and preparing what you're going to talk about, knowing your audience, all the little bits. Like I can go on forever and ever with that, right?
So helpful though. Like even if your stage is like a Facebook Live, asking yourself a question, like, what do I want my audience to do? And you said, how do I want them to feel? Is that what you also said?
yeah, how do you want them to feel like in your energy? Like, because this is about your brand, your messaging. Like, do you want them to feel supported, loved, celebrated, inspired, getting in action, right? You've got to blend kind of like your strategy and the energy and the emotions all together,
That
right?
brings up a good thought for me because I think because I've practiced going live every day in my membership in the 21 days. And I don't know if I put this together before until you said it, but I often want people to feel really connected. And I often get people saying that to me after, like, I feel like I know you because my
Yeah.
energy is like, let's connect and to be activating. Like I want them to feel activated afterwards. So that's a really good tip.
Yes.
Thank you.
Because often we go to the strategy, the logical, the head piece, right? So, but then it's the heart, how do I want them to feel? What do I want them to, yeah. So for you, it's connection, right? You want them to feel connected. And we can do that through a live, through a physical stage, everything, right? Um, so I can go deeper with that in terms of preparation and pre-stage ritual, but there is preparation. A lot of the time, women think I'll fly by the seat of my pants. I've done that before, right? Where I'm just winging it. I'm going to do this and I'm going to wing it. And sometimes that works, but sometimes as a woman in business, it doesn't as well. Like, because we can keep talking and talking and talking, but if you're talking and you're not leading your audience to that next step, then you're actually being disservice to your audience as well.
That's a really good point. So what do you do to help people do that? Because I'm definitely a winging it type of person. I've always like led with,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm curious. What do you do to help them?
Well, it's about getting really clear. What do you want them to walk away with? Yes, like you said, you want them to feel connected. So I feel like the strategy, the emotion, and that is very clear. But what next step do you want them to take? Do you want them to follow you on Instagram? Do you want them to be part of your community? Do you want them just to feel inspired? Because that could be as simple as that. So it's really getting clear on what do you want them to, what's the next step you want them to do? So what's the invitation at the end? Or in some ways we call it the call to action. What's the invite that you're inviting them to do?
This is
Right?
total light bulb moment for me. Could I just say I just got asked to speak at a retreat and I have spoke at it before. And I would just show up and like serve the people in front of me and tap with them. But knowing this now, it's like, well, actually, what I do is I connect with them through tapping and I help them connect to themselves. And then what I want them to do is to is to download my Wildly Wealthy Woman tapping meditation, but I've never like actually put that together. So this is so helpful for me. Thank you.
Awesome. So be really clear with that. So at the end that you invite them to do that, because a lot of the times we assume that people know what to do. We assume that, oh, they'll follow me if they, and we take a bit of a backwards step, because that's what we do as women. You know, we don't, oh, I don't want to be boasty, salesy, or put myself like I'm self-promoting. But the thing is, you're actually being of service to let people know, how do I go deeper? If I want to go deeper, how do I do that? You know, so you're giving them clear instructions, because we need clear instructions.
Yeah, they love their experience with you. So tell them how to have another one with you. Like, so
Yeah,
tell them what to do next.
exactly, right. And I always say, just have one.
One
I mean,
thing.
I'm guilty of it. It's like when you're in the energy of it, and you go, and you can reach me on here, and you can call me here, or you can download that. And in our human brain, it's too confusing. But if we give them one step to take, that's it.
Awesome. This is so helpful. Okay. Well, that was only the first tip, right? That was
Yes,
prepare.
that was the first. Yeah.
So
The,
helpful.
the second tip, and I'm guilty of this, of not doing enough of it, is practice and refinement. So really practicing before you hop on a stage. So it is kind of, I don't want you to memorize, right? Memorizing, everyone keeps asking me, should I memorize my talk? Shouldn't I? And I was like, well, memorize the beginning and the ending, right? They're the two key, like how you open up, so how you engage and bring people together, and then how you lead them to the next step, right? That's the ending. But everything in the middle, you can feel, because you know, right? Anything that you're teaching or taking them through, you know that you don't need to have it structured, right? And that's about building that trust, that inner trust, that I know this really well, so I don't need, you know, guidance or structure or memorizing.
Ooh, that feels
You're
so freeing
feeling
to me because like I like to really feed off of the audience. So if I'm just like the structure is
it.
I end well, I can deliver in the middle.
Yeah, deliver in the middle, be connected, be with your audience, because the speakers that are going to make the change are the transformational speakers, the ones that can be agile and adapt to the audience, right? They're the ones that are going to be captivating and people leaning in, not the ones that are like, oh, did I deliver all what I'm supposed to deliver? Did I teach them? Oh, did I? Were you there with the audience? Were you part of the experience too? Because you're co-creating. You're co-creating at that point,
It's a
right?
dance, like a dance you're
It
doing
is
with
a
it.
dance. It is
Yeah,
a dance. However, do yourself a service and the audience to get the beginning and the ending right.
got
Yeah.
it.
Beginning and the ending right. So that is about practicing. And there are so many ways that you can practice. You can pre-record yourself doing it, right? On Zoom or on an audio in front of friends and family. Do it in a Facebook group with your community if you've got one of those, right? You can practice there. But the one that I really advocate for is if you can be part of a speaking circle. Because when you're in a speaking circle, you are practicing, you're getting a refinement and feedback live, you're feeling all the feels, you're having an audience there in front of you, that people that you may not know, right? So if you can be part of a speaking circle, then yeah, definitely that's a way that you can practice and refine to get you ready.
I've never really thought of a speaking circle before, I guess, other than Toastmasters, but is that something that you have or you do?
Hmm. Yeah, similar to Toastmasters. Mine's not the Toastmasters way. Mine's very non-traditional. But yeah, so either you can find local speaking circles where you are, like if you can do a physical one, even great, or an online speaking circle, particularly if you're going to be doing a lot of online work. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay. So third tip that you have for everyone.
The third tip, right? And it's the thing that we always forget as well, right? Because like, oh, we've done that. Yeah. Right. But the third tip is like post-stage rituals. Okay. Post-stage rituals. So we've given all this energy out. When we're speaking, we are all output energy. Now we need to replenish that energy. right? Because what you don't want is go from one gig to another gig, or you go from a speaking opportunity to supporting a client or go into family, right? We need to replenish our energy. And so it's like, what are your post-stage rituals? One of the things I love to do is a bath, right? And mine's all about grounding because my energy goes really high and intense,
Yeah.
right? And so I need to kind of ground myself. And so a beautiful warm bath, a cup of tea, right? You could even do a really light tapping as well, like even just celebrating, even though that was really intense. I loved how I did this, like just really just calming everything down.
That's
Yeah.
brilliant. And like I'm closing, like I've opened my energy up to all these people, but I'm
Yeah.
gonna close my energy now. Like,
Yeah.
is I have felt that now that you say this, it's such a light bulb for me. I have felt like I kind of got hit by a train after speaking because
Mm,
it's so fun. And then there's like people talking to you. And then I'm like, I don't even know if I'm breathing because there's just so much energy that I'm like,
yeah.
letting out. But I think you're right. If I had a post speaking ritual where I contained myself again,
Yes.
it would
Yeah.
be
You
so helpful.
replenish.
Yeah.
I remember holding a retreat for 3 nights, and I did it with me and my girlfriend, but we had no support. It was just her and I. It took me out for a whole week, right? So the next time when I did a retreat, I made sure that I was supported energetically and physically, right? So I had 3 people supporting me,
Yeah.
right? So the bigger the stages you start going on, the more visible you go, you're going to need more support, physical, energetic, everything, right? Because you're going to be putting a lot of energy out. So a post-stage ritual is super important, right? And part of that is once you've kind of brought back your energy, you've replenished, then it's about a reflection moment, like having a look at with a space of love and compassion, never of criticism, right? It was like, okay, what went really well here for me? Okay, I'm going to do that again. That worked really well. What could I do a little bit better or less of? Right. So again, that positive, affirming language that is compassionate, right? What could I do more of or less of? Yeah, more of or less of. Or I could have probably got my invitation at the end, giving myself more time to do that because I'm guilty of that, not giving myself enough time at the end, you know. So, and then kind of giving yourself, well, what do I need to do differently? Okay, maybe I need to allow myself more time for my wrap up, you
Yeah.
know.
This
You
is,
know,
I'm already thinking of things like as you're saying this, I'm like, because the event I got invited to is in May, and I'm driving to it. I've done it before, and I'm like, I don't want to drive. Like, I want to be able to like be taken care of after the event, not having to like give myself the space to absorb it and maybe connect with certain people that I really connected with on the conversation
yeah,
or the tapping. Yeah, this is super, super helpful. Like that reflection.
it's it's great that you're getting to do it again. Do you know what I mean? That retreat, because then you've done it one way. Now it's like, how do I do it in a different way that's going to support me? And this is how we learn. We learn what works for us, what doesn't. Yeah. So
And
they're
like
my 3
those little
things.
things, like lead them to this one thing. Like now I know what that one thing is.
Yes.
That's,
Yes. That's why I say start with the end in mind. Like, what do you want them to do at the end? Get really specific on that. And then the key is to stick to that, you
right.
know.
Stick to the plan.
To that plan because and that's the hardest one. And some of the things that I do with my ladies is even just getting like a little cue card and just writing what your invitation is so that it's there as a reminder for you.
And your
Yeah.
face. Remember
Yeah.
that. These are so helpful. Like these were many light bulb moments for me. So thank you so much for sharing your magic today with us and your tapping. I know you have a really helpful download. Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about what they can expect in that free tapping download?
Yes, yes. So my invitation is my tapping download, which is called SOS, Speak on Stage, because no matter what stage, you will get the feels, right? And it's like, what do we do when we get the feels? How do we navigate it? So I've got a really well formulated tapping video, audio, and script, so you can take it with you wherever you are. And on top of that, I've also put a 10-step checklist to help you get ready for the stage, and also 10 online stages that you can speak on today. So I've kind of wrapped it all up to get you ready for the stage. So
I'm
yeah.
downloading that. That is amazing. So 10 spaces you can speak on stage online, a checklist, and a tapping audio that you can go through to prep you for speaking.
Yeah. This is getting you ready to speak on stage, because we need more women out there speaking and sharing their brilliance.
Yeah, I truly believe that there are women with stories that need to be shared. And like, if you are one of those women, go talk to Michelle, like do her work, go download this resource, start there. Where can everyone connect with you? Where do you want them to reach out to you after today?
Well, apart from the download, you can connect with me on Instagram or Facebook, but I'm on Instagram. That's my main. Yeah.
Instagram is the place to be. So, what's your handle on Instagram?
It's just my name, Michelle Fragias. That's it.
Perfect. I will make sure all that is linked up. Everyone can go connect with you, do the one thing, go download that tapping script and the video. It's such a gift. Thank you so much, Michelle, for being a part of this community, for sharing your work with us. And I love you so much.
Love you too. Thank you for all the work that you're doing. Like, without you, like, I couldn't bring this to life as well. So I really am super grateful for everything that you've done for me as well.
The tapping brought us together. We'll see you.
Yes.
Thanks so much for listening today, everyone. Bye for now.